Shalom. 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 Khan. Sound fine. Shayla, your plate on your bed. Said your plate is on your bed. All right, Khan. Shalom. Shalom. This brother Yeshaya from the Hopeful Elect coming at you with another Think About It Thursday. Want to give all praises, glory, and honor be to the Most High God. And we just want to come at you with a quick lesson, man. And it's just talking about overcoming Satan in marriage, right? So, again, we give all due praises, glory, and honor be to the Most High. And reason for the topic is, in life, man, even in what we call the truth. Matter of fact, give me 1 second. All right, Salakia, but Khan. So as I was saying, even in the truth, man, sometimes you get to a point where even in life, right, we see I ain't gonna say we see. I say those who are married, we have a mindset that, especially being in the truth, that we want to break generational curses. We come from a nation of people who come from single parent households, right? Don't know how to deal with certain things because we never been through certain things to be able to know exactly how to handle certain situations, right? In the physical. Now we know that we got the word of the Most High, which gives us all the wisdom and understanding that we need. But sometimes it's easier said than done trying to take heed to the word of the Most High like that. And I'm not saying that as in, you want to be rebellious against the Most High, but of course the flesh wants to rebel against what the spirit wants, right? Let's start off with, we start off by reading. Let me go to King James. I should have had that pulled up already. Let me just type it in, King James Bible online, right? All right, so let me share my screen real quick. Let me share screen. Share tab, right? Cool. So let's go here, right? Let's start off with the, matter of fact, let's start off with the Apocrypha, right? Matter of fact, let's start off with Genesis chapter 2, right? Genesis 2 and 18, right? So let's start off here, right? This is the book of Genesis chapter 2 and verse number 18. And it reads, "And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him," right? This is going into the Most High making the helpmeet, the woman the helpmeet for the man. "And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. Whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof." And Salakia, you might see my sister walking by behind me. Every living creature, that was the name thereof, right? "And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him." So the Most High gave man a woman because there wasn't found a helpmeet for the man, right? So let's keep reading. "And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof," right? "And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man." So right here is explaining how the Most High took woman from the man's rib, which is why you see brothers call their wife their rib. Some people have a problem with that, but I don't understand why when it's literally written in Genesis 2, right? Let's read verse 23. "And Adam said, this is now bones of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man." verse 24, this is the point, right? It says, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh, right? So right here, we see the establishing of the union of what we call marriage, right? A man leaving his father and his mother, cleaving to his wife, and those two becoming one flesh. This is ordained of the Most High because he said it was not good that man should be alone. So when we come into the knowledge of the truth, we try to go back to the principles and the foundations of what the Most High ordained to be able to walk in his ways, you know, as we should walk in his ways, right? Because we've come from so many background things. Let's go to Deuteronomy real quick, right? Because we know it was ordained of the Lord that a man should be with a woman, right? The Most High made Eve for Adam, not Steve for Adam, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. And let's go to let's start at verse number 15, right? And the reason I want to go here is I want to establish exactly why in today's time we may have a fight that we have today amongst our society, right? When it comes to youth, when it comes to the youth and being married, when it comes to, you know, our elders, and when it comes to our parents, some of the relationships that we've seen, some of us are trying to be the first people to actually have successful marriages in our families, right? So Satan is going to do everything he can to knock us off that block, right? Especially when you're young, man. When you get tied down when you're young in a world that they want the young to prosper in wicked ways, you're going to fight a lot of more physical fights than you think, a lot of more spiritual fights than you think, right? But we all have to understand this is a part of the Most High's plan, and we'll get into all that in a second. But let's establish why these things are happening to us, why we're coming from broken households, why we don't have those righteous examples in the physical like we should have, right? Why in our community we see that our people lead the nation in single-parent households, right? Deuteronomy 28:15. We read the curses all the time, and it never fails because these curses apply yet till this day. It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee, right? Verse 46, and they, the curses, shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, which is everlasting. The same word forever is found in Genesis 9:14 when it mentions that the Most High made the bow in the clouds for a perpetual covenant. Perpetual is the same Hebrew word as forever in Deuteronomy 28:46, right? So these curses will be upon us forever. Now, what is one of the curses that we would see, right? Let me get I want to read verse number like the brother Ariah said from WFI, this whole chapter, man. Let me start at verse number 28, right? It says, the Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart, right? These are one of the curses that are going to be put on us. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt only be oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee, right? So we're going to be oppressed. We're going to be spoiled. Part of our oppression is verse number 30. Verse 30, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof, right? But let's focus on the first part of verse number 30. It says, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her, right? Again, we read how these curses will be upon us forever, right? And it says that we should be oppressed and spoiled evermore, and nobody's going to save us from these curses. Part of that is nobody's going to be able to really truly help us from the curse of having a wife that we're betrothed to and somebody else taking her, right? Somebody else lying with her. And it doesn't necessarily imply that, oh, somebody's going to rape her. Somebody's just going to take her from you and rape her. That is true. Part of that is true. But at the same time, you could betroth the wife and she can go commit adultery, right? She could go fornicate, right? So there's a lot of things that we're dealing with as a people that we just haven't been able to recover from truly, or truly learn how to deal with it in the physical realm, because a lot of our people haven't got past the spiritual aspect of the law, right? Because Romans 7:14 says what? The law is spiritual, but we are carnal, sold under sin, right? So we have to gravitate to the spiritual side of the law in order to understand how we can apply these things to the physical. But we haven't truly been able to do that because a lot of our people gravitate to the physical aspect of things, right? We associate blessings with having money. Nobody associates blessings with just waking up every day, right? Having the activity of your limbs, having electricity, having food in your refrigerator, right? A lot of people don't look at life like that. A lot of people look at it as in, how much money do I have in my bank account? You know, what type of car do I drive? What type of house do I live in? Right? What type of clothes do I wear? We have this materialistic mindset when it comes to a lot of things. And marriage is one of those things that are included in that, right? Because, like we say, J. Cole, again, in a society where the youth is designed to have a hoe phase, is designed to set up and be wicked, they say that you should waste your 20s doing all the stuff you want to do and chill later on in life. You know what I'm saying? That's what type of relationship advice they give us. They tell us to don't settle down now, because how do you know that you found the person that you want to settle down with for life? Now, that's true in an extent, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't settle down, right? If you found that person at 21, don't throw that person away. And we'll get into all that. But these are part of the curses that we're under, right? Let's go down to verse number 54, right? And it says right here, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother and toward the wife of his bosom and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall lead, right? So again, one of the curses is that, hey, look, we're going to be brought up in single parent households, right? The man that's tender among us and very delicate, look, he's going to start having an evil eye towards his brother. You know what that's going to lead to? Senseless violence, right? Murders, killings, brothers getting arrested, right? Now they can't be at home with their children because they had an evil eye towards a brother, or another brother had an evil eye towards them, and it caused them to commit a crime. Now they got to do some time. And at the same time, they're going to be toward the wife. They're going to have an evil eye toward the wife of their bosom, right? And we're going to hate. A lot of times people don't understand that this is one of the curses that we go to show the statistics about single parent households. Let me pull this up. Single parent household statistics, right? Let me pull this up, right? By race. I want to pull it up by race. Let me see. By race and ethnicity, because I that's what I want to pull up. I want to be specific when I'm pulling up this information, right? Shalom to the brother Obadiah Salakia. I'm on a laptop, so I don't get to see the comments when they pull up, but shalom to the brother, man. Shalom to the brother Obadiah, right? Hey, young brother too, man. Right? Let me pull this up real quick. I'm trying to share screen. Let me stop sharing real quick. Now let me share screen. Let me present, right? So this is what we're looking at right here, right? It says children, and this is the website, you know what I'm saying? So people who like to fact check, who like to say, oh, I don't like .coms, right? This is .org, right? And it says children in single parent families by race and ethnicity in the United States. And it's dating all the way back to 2011, and it goes through the year 2021. It's 2 years behind, but the statistics still kind of, you know what I'm saying, in the same field, right? We haven't seen a drastic change since 2021. So let's read, right? In 2011, I want to make it more simple than this, because though while I understand, I just want to make it a little bit more simple. So let me try to pull this down, right? So the location is the United States, so we don't even need to worry about the location, right? But let's look at this, right? The year 2021, a Black or African American, right? Look at this. Look at the Hispanics, right? I guess the percentage is the number of households that have a single parent, right? So this is 67%, 67, 66, 66, 66, 65, 65, 64, 64. So we're on a steady decline. Look how this is, right? 64% of Black or African American households, starting back to 67 back in 2011, hey, high 60s%, right, of so-called Black households are single parent households, right? Look at Hispanic and Latino, 40%, right? 40%, like 42, 41, 42, 42, 42, 42, 42, 42, 41, 41, 42, 42, right? Low 40% of Hispanic households are single parent households, right? So there's a lot of things that, you know what I'm saying, that we don't even put to thought when we look at statistics like this, right? And this is why I say, when you go back to here, right, going back to the word of the Most High, let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 28. I wish I could share more than one tab at once. That one got to stop sharing and sharing again, right? And it says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother and toward the wife of his bosom and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall lead, right? So this is one of the curses that will be put upon us, right? We don't really know how to deal with, when the marriage gets tough, because a lot of our grandparents may have not been married, or if your grandparents were married, I ain't gonna say a lot of our grandparents, right? I'm gonna just say a lot of our parents maybe didn't have successful marriages, right? Now, we would definitely go to our grandparents for wisdom and counsel, right? But our immediate parent, right? Our immediate line of procession, our parents, hey, they didn't give us that example that we needed according to the Most High, right? And even if your parents were married, Most High willing that they did live according to the commandments of the Lord, but even if they didn't live according to the commandments of the Lord and they were married, hey, it still doesn't teach you how to truly deal with marriage and righteous situations. So let's go to somewhere real quick, right? Let's go down here. KJVAAE Apocrypha, right? Because I want to read this, man. We just got to learn how to, we got to learn how to overcome Satan when we deal with, certain situations like this. It's the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25, and let's start at verse number 1, right? It says, in 3 things I was beautified and stood up beautiful both before God and men. The unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together, right? This is what beautified the Most High. It stood up both beautiful before God and men. The first thing first is the unity of brethren, right? The unity of brethren right here. It says the love of neighbors, and the last one is a man and a wife that agree together. Hey, nothing is more beautiful than that in the eyes of the Most High. Well, of course, you got the unity of brethren and the love of neighbors, but this is one of the things that the Most High is pleased in, right? Why do I say that? Because let's go back to the book of Proverbs, right? Proverbs chapter 18 and verse number 22, right? Proverbs chapter 18 and verse number 22. Let's read. And it says, whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor of the Lord. Which means if you find a wife, man, you find a great thing. It's a beautiful thing when people get married. It's a beautiful thing when brothers say, hey, I'm courting a sister. I'm dating her. I'm trying to get to know her more because I want her. It's beautiful that our young people have a mindset of wanting to get the woman that, they so desire, even at such a young age. But at the same time, we haven't truly learned how to, again, apply the aspects of dealing with situations that come up in marriage, right? I want to pull something up, right? I want to pull something up, right? Reasons for divorce. right? Allow, right? So let's do this, right? So let's read this, right? This is according to Chegg and Bennett, attorneys at law. So let me remove this. Let me stop sharing my screen. I don't even think I have to keep doing that. I really want to share a window, but if I do that, it's going to pull up this. So let me pull this up, right? I know it's going to pull this up, right? But anyway, you can read this. So that way I don't got to keep going back and forth, right? Says right here, this is Clagett and Barnett, attorneys at law, right? And it says, according to the American Psychological Association, I'm going to highlight this. Maybe y'all can't read it as good. But according to the American Psychological Association, about 90% of us get married before we turn 50. Some of those marriages go to the distance, withstanding the test of time and flourishing for decades to come. Others fall upon rocky times. In fact, the APA notes that somewhat causes the divorces rate to be so high, right? And it says there is no answer to that question where between 40% and 50% of marriages end in divorce. So if 90% of us get married before 50, 60% of those marriages, 60 to 50% of those marriages are only going to last, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean, you know what I'm saying, that it's good, because according to divorce, man, you know what I'm saying, 9 times out of 10, they're talking about giving you a bill of divorcement, right? So it says, what causes the divorce rate to be so high? There is no question. There is no answer to that question. Indeed, there are a number of factors that can assail and ultimately undermine a marriage, sometimes leading to reconciliation, but sometimes ending in the marriage's dissolution, right? So therefore, we see that it's really no true factor. There's no true question to answer why marriages end so young. But I Googled the top 10 reasons, right? The 10 leading causes of divorce in the United States of America, right? And the first one is marital infidelity, right? Cheating on your partner, right? So let's read about this. Let's read about cheating on your spouse, right? Let's go to the law first, and then we're gonna go get some wisdom. Cheating on your spouse, man. Because again, we gotta understand that we're a different generation, man, and we're trying to be different. So we have to learn and go to the word and reach out to brothers and sisters when we're going through things in our marriage to seek counsel, to keep from falling victim to the same curse that some of our foremothers and fathers fell victim to, right? This is Exodus chapter 20 and 14. Let's go to the law first. It says, thou shalt not commit adultery, right? Now, many people ask, what is adultery? Well, let's go and read, right? This is the book of Leviticus chapter 20 and verse number 10, right? Adultery, Leviticus 20 and 10. And it says, and the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death, right? So adultery, pretty much summing it up, is when a man sleeps with another man's wife. Now let's go to the New Testament and let's see where Christ taught a finer point of understanding what adultery was. Because see, a lot of people, again, 1 Corinthians, I want to say 7 and 13, right? Or 7 and 19. All things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful, but all things edify not. Some people try to stick to the law and say, show me in the law where I'm wrong, but they don't know how, you know what I'm saying? Like some of the things that you may be trying to teach or some of the things that you may be trying to apply are what we call not edifying, right? Because some people don't know, some people don't understand exactly what it is. What am I trying to say? Let me clear up my speech. Some people don't understand that just because something not written in the law doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to, you know what I'm saying, do better, right? And what I'm saying is that 1 Thessalonians 5 and 21, it says, no, is that 5 and 21 and 22? Which one of them? It says abstain from all appearance of evil, right? So we have to be able to abstain from all appearances of evil, because sometimes, even though you may not be in sin according to the law, you got to give you, it just don't look good all the time, right? So we got to learn how to go to the law, and we got to learn how to apply wisdom when we're following after the law. That was the whole point of Christ coming and teaching some finer points of the law, to give us a better understanding of how to follow the law in a lot more earnestly and cleanly. Because again, these commandments were given to us to be our wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations. But just because the law doesn't say thou shalt not do this, doesn't mean that, okay, I'm just going to go and do it, and I'm not in sin according to the law, right? Because it's not necessarily a wise thing, right? It's not an edifying thing in a sense, right? Let me read let me see, right? Hold on, this is not what I want. Salakia, let me pull this up real quick. I want to pull this precept up. This is not what I want. This is not what I want in particular, but this could go into what I want to talk about. But I don't want to talk about, how to divorce someone, right? The finer points of divorcement. Hath committed adultery. I want to say that's Matthew 12, adultery in his heart, or Matthew 19 already. No, that's Matthew 5. I'm in the right chapter. I just went down too far. Yeah, this is where I'm at. I was in the right chapter. Salaki, I just went down too far. I thought I was overreading. But this is Matthew chapter 5, and let's start at verse 27, right? And it says, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery, right? And what again? We define what adultery was according to the law. A man sleeping with another man's wife. But again, people have to understand that Christ didn't come to teach no new commandments, right? He just come to give people a better understanding of how to follow the law, because some people were like Pharisees, tooth and nail to the law, but not doing the things written therein. And some people were doing the things, but they weren't doing it in a wise manner. They weren't doing it in a way that it edifies the people. So we have to learn how to follow the law spiritually, not just according to the physical, because the law is spiritual. We have to learn how to follow the law within our hearts first, right? So let's read this. It says, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart, right? So part of doing adultery is, like we said, one of the top reasons for divorce in America is marriage infidelity. That was the first thing that was mentioned. Cheating on your spouse. So you got to understand that it's not just a brother just going to sleep with another man's wife. Like, just because I don't sleep with my brother's wife doesn't mean that I'm not an adulterer in my heart. Because if I'm looking at another man's wife, if I'm looking at a woman in the store, I don't know if she's married or not. This is what it means when it says that he already committed adultery in his heart. Because you can be looking at a woman in the store and you're lusting after her, right? Sister thick. Brother got a nice body. Brother tall, dark, and handsome. Sister look good with her hair, right? All these thoughts coming across your mind. I wonder what they look like undressed. The whole time, they have a whole wife or husband at the house, or they're betrothed to somebody. This is why you are already an adulterer in your heart, because you're not even taking the time to find out if this person is single or not, right? You just looking at them and you just lusting, and they're already married. So that makes you an adulterer. And sometimes in marriage, especially at a young age, like again, we live in a generation where social media is so impactful on our young lives. We have all websites that we can go to look at women, and they're free of charge. You can just go to your phone. You go to the little private settings, you know what I'm saying? You go in the bathroom, you go in your closet, you hide out in different places to keep people from seeing you do these things, to look at women. Hey, our heart are already adulterous just because of those actions, right? And that's why marriage infidelity is one of the leading causes of divorce in America. A part of the curses, again, Deuteronomy 28 and 50, Deuteronomy 28, 29, and 30, right? We read that, hey, we should betroth a wife, but another man shall lie with her. That was one of the curses that we would be under. And it doesn't just say that she'll be raped. It doesn't mean that she'll be forcibly taken and raped. Doesn't just say that. I could betroth the wife and another brother could holler at her and my wife just fold, right? The woman who was betrothed unto me just fold, give in. He was handsome. I was weak. These are things that we don't consider, right? Let's go to Sirach real quick. King James Bible Online. I want to go back to the Apocrypha, right? Because this is going to be the wisdom I apply to this, right? There's going to be some more wisdom to apply to this situation. Chapter 23. And this is where one of my favorite verses of the scriptures come from. Let's start at 17. Sirach 23 and 17, right? It says, all bread is sweet to a whoremonger. He will not leave off till he die. A man that breaketh wedlock, saying thus in his heart, who seeth me? Am I compassed about with darkness? The walls cover me, and nobody seeth me. What need I to fear? The Most High will not remember my sins, right? And this is talking about a man that breaketh wedlock. Again, same thing being an adulterer in your heart, according to Matthew 5. The same thing committing adultery according to the law in Exodus 20 and 14, and defining what that is in Leviticus 20 and 10. We think we do these adulterous actions, even if you're not physically sleeping with this person, you're committing adultery in your heart because you're lusting after somebody else's possession in your mind, right? All searching the dark web, looking at all the different websites, just in the general public, looking at women, looking at men. All these things contribute to being an adulterer, right? And we don't know exactly. Again, some of us haven't been around enough righteous examples to know how to refute these things when they come about. But this is why we have the word. We have to go into the word and understand that when situations come where your mind wants to commit adultery, you got to rebuke that thing. You got to cast that thing down. Because looking at another woman in the store will have you coming back home to your wife looking at her like, I hate you. Right? Man, I wish I would have waited to get married. I could have had an old girl that told me I look nice today. Right? Same thing with some women. A man tell you look good. I wish I had him because he got more money than my husband. I wish I had him because he'll probably take better care of me than my husband does. Right? Now you having buyer's remorse. What we call in sales, we call it buyer's remorse. You sitting up here being remorseful about the decision that you made as far as marriage goes, and you sitting up here wanting to have somebody else's wife or husband do exactly for you what your wife and husband should be doing. We don't know how to build each other up because we never had that true righteous example due to the curses that we're under. And that ain't nobody fault but our own, right? But let's go to Sirach again. And it says, a man that breaketh wedlock, saying thus in his heart, who seeth me? I'm compassed about with darkness. The walls cover me and nobody seeth me. What need I to fear? The Most High will not remember my sins. Right here. Such a man only feareth the eyes of men and knoweth not that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men and considering the most secret parts. Right? It says right here, let's jump down to verse number 21. And it says, this man shall be punished in the streets of the city, and where he suspected not, he shall be taken. Thus shall it go also with the wife that leaveth her husband and bringeth in an heir by another, right? It should be the same punishment for a woman that steps out on her husband and bringing in a child by another man. It says, for first, she hath disobeyed the law of the Most High, right? Thou shalt not commit adultery. And secondly, she had trespassed against her own husband. And thirdly, she had played the whore in adultery and brought children by another man, right? We got to understand that in the society that we live in, we have to understand that there's temptation around. There's all type of manner and folly around. There's bad examples. There's people preying on our downfall. We have to do a better job at girding ourselves up with the word of the Lord, right? We have to do a better job at being around our righteous friends more. We have to do a better job at reaching out to a brother or sister if we're going through some things. A lot of us, myself included, like to suffer in silence. I don't want to talk about it. I want to deal with it on my own. And it causes us to make mistakes that we shouldn't be making, especially people who are following after the truth. There's no reason you should have brothers or sisters who are married around you. There's no reason that you should have all these righteous examples in the scriptures and not be able to go somewhere inside of that word and find a way to overcome adversity, especially with marriage infidelity, right? Right? Let's go right here. So we got to do a better job, especially young people, right? Marriage infidelity. Let's go to one more example of marriage infidelity real quick in the book of Ecclesiasticus. Go to chapter 9. I'm going to start at verse number man. There's so many examples that's in my head that I want to go to, but I don't want to attack all of them because we already been on here for 36 minutes, right? But there's so many examples in my head. I think I might have to do a part 2 to this tomorrow if the brothers don't get on. But let's start it right here. Let's start at verse number Salakia. I'm in Matthew 5. Let's start at verse number 2. It says, "Give not thy soul unto a woman to set her foot upon thy substance," right? And that's just going back to what it says in Proverbs 31. Hey, a man should not give his strength to a woman, a way that which destroyeth kings, right? Verse number 4, "Use not much the company of a woman that is a singer, lest thou be taken with her attempts." And it says, "Gaze not on a maid, that thou fall not by those things that are precious in her," right? It says, "Give not thy soul unto harlots, that thou lose not thine inheritance," right? Let's go down to verse number 8. It says, "Turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman, and look not upon another's beauty. For many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman, for herewith love is kindled as a fire." Because a woman looks beautiful to you, now you marrying her. And you got to avoid this, even being in the truth. Sometimes we see a beautiful woman in the truth, and she ain't even got it all together. Now your life is a living hell because you gazed at her upon her for her beauty, and you instantly you thought that you love her. Now you regret it. Same thing with women. Same thing with women. You sit up here and you think about, oh, this man, he looks so good. He smells so good. He reads the Bible. He follows God. Next thing you know, I'm stuck, right? You got that I'm trapped mindset. We have to be mindful of this wisdom. It says, "Sit not at all with another man's wife, nor sit down with her in thine arms, and spend not thy money with her at the wine, lest thine heart incline unto her, and so through thy desire thou fall into destruction," right? Again, all of this is just wisdom to teach us how to handle situations when it comes to infidelity, being around other women, right? Another one of these examples, right? We can go to the book. Matter of fact, I just want to attack that marriage infidelity, right? Might as well while we're right here. I might go into another examples on another lesson, right? But let's go to the book of Ruth. Not marriage infidelity, Lord. I want to get this example not for marriage infidelity, but for the sole purpose of edifying and learning how to deal with certain things, right? Let's start at let's see. Matter of fact, let me go to the next chapter because I think that's where my answer is. I thought it was in chapter. Oh no, I wasn't in chapter 3. I thought I was in chapter 3. Let me see. Right, because the brother Azrael brought this example out, but this is Ruth, right? This is Ruth chapter 3, and let's start at verse number 10. And he said, and he said, "Blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast shewed more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning, inasmuch as thou followest not young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to thee all that thou requirest, for all the city of my people doth know thou art a virtuous woman. And now it is true that I am thy near kinsman. Howbeit there is a kinsman nearer than I," right? So this is Boaz is saying, "Tarry this night, and it shall be in the morning, that if he will perform unto thee the part of a kinsman well, let him do the kinsman's part. But if he will not do the part of a kinsman to thee, then will I do the part of a kinsman to thee, as the Lord liveth. Lie down until the morning, right? So this is right here the example of tarrying until the morning when we're faced with certain decisions, right? Ruth is at Boaz's feet. She's like, bro, take me. And this is the wisdom that's now being given to Ruth. Like, we got to tarry till the morning, right? Let's tarry until the morning. And sometimes when we're faced with certain marriage decisions, we don't sit down and tarry until the morning. We act in haste. We act on our emotions, right? We don't learn how to sit down and truly assess and evaluate the situation. We just literally move in our emotions. That's all I can say about it, right? That's all I can say about it. And I'm going to show you why that I wanted to go here, because I want to go here, right? Ephesians, right? Ephesians chapter 5. And let's start at verse number 22. Let's start at 22, right? Ephesians 5 and 22, right? Matter of fact, let's start at 21. And it says, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of the Most High, right? Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord, right? For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. I'm not the type to say, women, 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 women. It's y'all fault, right? But we have to understand that even myself being married, bro, being married young is one of the things that our generation of people have got to learn how to do. Our generation of women have to learn how to truly submit to their husbands, right? A lot of women may think you're submitting to your husband because he tells you to be quiet and you just, okay, go about your day, right? A lot of women may think you submit to your husband just because you do these things for him. You cook for him. You may wash his clothes. You know what I'm saying? You may do this, that, and the third. But that's not necessarily, I'm not saying that that's not submission at all. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that's not limited to I cook for you, I clean for you. Submission is just not limited to the physical things that you do for your husband. How often are sisters praying for their husbands? Right? How often are sisters not back talking to their husbands? How often are sisters going through the scriptures and examining the scriptures on how to truly be virtuous in all ways than just by thinking that I'm doing the righteous act because I cook for this man, I clean for this man, right? It's more than just, it's not limited to just cooking and cleaning. It's not limited to, oh, I had your children. I take care of our kids, right? There's so many more ways that women can be virtuous. And I'm not saying that there are no virtuous women, and I'm not sending this as a direct attack on any woman. I'm just saying that we all have to examine each and every way that we submit ourselves one to another in the fear of the Most High. Because the Most High has consistently said throughout his word that women should obey their husbands. But just because you're a man, husbands, right? Just because you're a man does not mean that you're always right, right? Verse 25, husbands, love your wives even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Just because you're a man does not mean that you're loving your wife according to how the Most High would want us to love our wives, right? Let's go back to Ecclesiasticus chapter 9 and let's read verse number 1. Be not jealous over the wife of thy bosom, and teach her not an evil lesson against thyself, right? We have to learn how to be better at being leaders. And I'm talking about us men. We have to learn how to be better at being men who want a virtuous woman. You can't sit up here and tell your wife to submit to you because the Most High required it, yet you ain't having no bit of fruits of the spirit or caring compassion when it comes to your wife. You don't want to rub her feet, don't want to rub her back, you don't want to kiss her. The only time you want her to touching you is when y'all getting down to it. You yell at her all day, you bark orders at her, you don't do nothing nice for her. All you do is be mean to her. You sit up here looking at other women wishing you had them. That's not love. That's not love. We have to learn how that Just because you're a man doesn't mean that you're right. And it doesn't mean that just because you're a man that, oh, you need to be like men in this world and let their women, kind of run over them, be a beta male, let the women run over them. That's not what I'm saying. But you got to be a man worth submitting to, right? Because like it says in Sirach, be thou continually with a goodly man or a godly man, one whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, and who will let me bring that up. Let me pull that up. Be continually with a godly man. I want to say that's what I'm looking for. Maybe let me try to pull that up in the Apocrypha. Right. Sirach 37:12. Right. And it says, but be continually with the godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry. Right. If a woman has a miscarriage, you got to be able to have that mindset of, hey, this is my woman, and I'm going to sorrow with her because that was my seed. A lot of times we rush into these marriage situations and a woman to miscarry and a brother in the background, like, yes. We see it in the world. A woman to call and say, yeah, my period came back on, and you got brother in the background like, yes. But the woman kind of sad, even though she didn't miscarry, she kind of wanted a baby. And that's not having a man whose mind is according to thy mind, right? So we got to do a better job at, first of all, learning how to understand what the Most High ordained, right? What the Most High had put together, let no man put asunder. The Most High had ordained marriages from the beginning in Genesis chapter 2. He gave us laws to show that we shouldn't be doing certain things when we're married. There's so many laws and examples that I really want to go over, and I think I got to do that. I think I might have to do a part 2 because I want to go deeper into getting better examples and showing our people how to overcome Satan in marriage situations. Part of overcoming Satan is learning how to deal with marriage infidelity. And we went through many scriptures to show you how to deal with that, and there's so many more examples. We could have went to David, right? We could have went to understanding how Bathsheba should have been more zealous for Uriah the Hittite, right? Even though David's the king, she could have denied him. And then David would have killed her for not wanting to commit adultery with him. Then, hey, Bathsheba could have been like, well, kill me. That would have been an honorable thing. The same thing they tried to do with Judith, right? We have so many examples that we could go over, and I think I want to go deeper into this. I want to go deeper, right? Because the second one is financial disagreements, right? Financial disagreements. Let me tap on that real quick. Let me tap on financial disagreements real quick. We're going to come back to learning how to deal with your wife and learning how to have communication. We're going to tap on financial disagreements real quick, right? Because again, I'm speaking from a standpoint at one time, man, me and my wife got married. We finna have babies. I didn't have a dang job. I didn't have no dang money. My car got repossessed. I was out here struggling. My wife was paying all the bills, right? It was hell on her. Then after she had the babies, three months after she going back to work, I still ain't got no job. She's still paying all the bills. This is shortly after we got married, man. And it was a rough time for me, man. As a man, I was questioning myself, like, what the hell? So like it for the language, but like, what the hell am I doing? I wanted to be a provider. I wanted to be a true leader like I said I could, right? But let's read something real quick, right? This is Proverbs chapter 31, starting at verse number 10. It says, who can find a virtuous woman, for her price is far above rubies, right? It says right here, the heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil, right? It says, she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life, right? It says, she seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar, right? So I'm just reading this to show you the example of a virtuous woman. When your husband's down bad, what are you going to do? Right? You're going to pick your britches up, put your big girl pants on and step up to the plate and swing the bat? or you gonna find some type of way to wiggle out or fall out the truth, right? Or say your marriage wasn't this way or your marriage wasn't like that, man. And in Israel, we have so many examples of people giving bad marriage advice because our people are just truly confused in a mindset of how to be true examples of what righteousness is, right? So, right? So we dealing with some situations that, man, we have to learn how to deal with more earnestly, right? It says she considered the field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands, she planted the vineyard, right? It says she girded her loins with strength and strengthened her arms, right? All these things, man, listen, let's read verse 18. She perceived that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night, right? All these things, it's just like, I mean, I don't know how to explain it, right? Financial disagreements. A lot of times, if a man, you know what I'm saying, is making all the bread, I believe that men are content with making all the bread, especially when they want their women to be like stay-at-home moms. Like, I aspire one day for my wife to be a stay-at-home mom. And I'm going to make that happen through the power of the Most High sooner or later, sooner rather than later, right? But you got to think about it. Financial disagreements, a lot of times people are getting divorced because the woman has to take care of the man because the man may feel on hard times. It's a difference when you got a man who may not have a job right now, may not have enough money right now, but he's trying to get on his feet. He's trying to get back into a position of being on top versus a man who just don't want to do nothing at all. He just want to get taken care of, just want to be lazy, lay in bed all day, not thinking about doing nothing, not helping out around the house. You paying all the bills, you working all the hours, you coming home, and he making you clean up, he making you cook, he ain't folding no clothes, ain't cleaned the bathroom, ain't even got out of bed to brush his teeth, wash his face, change his underwear, not applying for no jobs, no motivation. You got to be aware of signs like that ahead of time, right? These are the type of questions we should be asking on dates. Like, say you fall on hard times, you know what I'm saying? What you gonna do to get yourself up? Because I don't mind, as a woman, you got to say, see, I don't mind being a virtuous woman and holding you down for a while. But I just want to know while I'm holding you down, you in the process of picking yourself back up. Right? See, we don't have those type of conversations. Now we asking just about, certain doctrines, right? Now we just asking about, body counts. We're not asking righteous questions no more when it comes to courting somebody, when it comes to wanting to be married, right? Financial disagreements is the second thing that's mentioned, right? And it leads to long-term divorce. Matter of fact, let's read this real quick. It says, Salakia. It says, indeed, studies have indicated that frequent fights about money are a strong predicator of divorce. Given the high level of stress that can accompany financial discussions, this statistic is all too believable, right? It's easy to believe that divorce is high because people ain't got no money. And 9 times out of 10, like I said, I'm led to believe it's more so when the man is the one who's experiencing the financial hardship, then that's when the marriage start getting rocky. I could be wrong, but based on the experience that I've seen, I'm emphatically saying it's definitely when the man, right? But let me read Luke chapter 16, and let me read verse number 10, right? Luke 16 and 10, right? And it says, let me read this. And it says, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much, right? You got to think about it like this. When it comes to money, if you got a little money and you're not learning how to spend it wisely, you're not even considering that you should spend it wisely. When you get a lot of money, you're not going to be just with that. The same thing when it comes to understanding that if somebody has a little money and is just and faithful with that little bit, they can be given a lot of money because they're going to know how to spend it. Which is why, like the brother Naquam, he was going over at camp, I think on last Shabbat. That was either Friday or that was either their Friday camp or they Saturday Shabbat camp. But they was talking to, after they got done talking to the brother Yaju, or before they talked to the brother Yaju, Judah, who professed himself to be Christ, madness. But before they was talking to him, he was going over how, man, The wisdom of this world is nothing. The wisdom of this world gets nothing. And a lot of people don't need $10 million because they don't know how to spend $100. Right? And financial disagreements is something that, like I said, I think I got to go more into this lesson, man, because I owe it to the people to go give better examples, right? I owe it to the people to give better examples. And I owe it to y'all to bring out a lot more information, right? With accuracy and precision. But that was just a little bit about how to deal overcoming Satan in marriage. I might, like I said, if the brothers don't want to get on tomorrow, if on the Sabbath, we're gonna be going down to, I want to say, Nashville, Georgia, this Sabbath. But we'll be in Nashville. But when it comes to understanding like how to overcome Satan, we went over marriage infidelity and we started the conversation of how to overcome financial disagreements. But there's a lot more that we're going to get into. So we're going to have to revisit this topic, right? But I've been on here for 56 minutes and I want people to be edified with what was brought out thus far. So I'm going to end this, man, and I'm going to say shalom to the viewers, shalom to the listeners. For those who tuned in, all praise to the Most High. Bless you and your household. For those who will watch this, shalom to you. We give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High God. This is Brother Yeshaya signing off, saying shalom. We'll be back with a part 2 for this lesson coming soon. Shalom.